Hello, guys. Welcome back to the podcast. It's your girl Hads. So, I did realize I took last week off of not posting a podcast, and that's fine. I'm not going to be crazy with my podcast. What I've told myself is I'm going to do it and I'm going to let it be free flowing. I'm not going to force it, but I do think that since changing kind of my flow of my client check-in process, that it's going to allow me for more time to dedicate certain days to certain things. And so right now I changed my client check-in fulfillment kind of days to be Monday, and then if there's obviously I will answer questions throughout the week, but that made me so much more productive, and like with my days I can be more scheduled and routine and be like, okay, Monday check-ins, Tuesday continued education, Wednesday X. So Wednesdays are going to be my new podcast recording days, and I'm going to try to record 2 podcasts every Wednesday so that I can stay on track, stay on par. So what today's topic is going to be about is how to make 2026 the year that you are healthy, both mentally and physically. How to make 2026 year of health. I actually haven't written any notes down for this, so I'm kind of just gonna like bullet point things as I go. How to make 2026 year of healthy body plus mind. So let's start with the body. Now we're talking about the body. We need to do an audit. So our body consists of our internal and external. So on the inside, how are we feeling? What does our energy levels look like? What does our, I'm not going to write because it's making me not be able to be present right here. What does our energy levels look like? What does our sleep look like? What does our digestion look like? These are the internal things that I would think about. Okay, now this is how we get really, really optimized. Oh my gosh, what is going on? I'm all over the place. This is when we get into optimization of these internal things. So, for example, like I said, the energy levels, sleep, digestion. Now, what is considered optimal, like most healthy for these things? Energy levels would be okay, cool. I can make it through the day without having to rely on caffeine. Cool. If you're somebody that does rely on caffeine, you're gonna be like, this is so hard, Adley. You are going to have to either cold turkey cut it, or you're going to have to wean off of it like you would for some sort of medication, like antidepressant medication or something similar. So personally, I'm like a cold tucky. Why do I keep saying cold tucky? Cold turkey cutter. I'm gonna cut it all at once because out of sight, out of mind for me. If it's okay, I go every other day, and then I go every 2 days, every 3 days, every 4 days, every week, and that just gets too for me. I'd rather just do, okay, cold turkey. I'm gonna cut it. I'm gonna cut the coffee, and I'm gonna expect my body to feel like shit for a couple of days, and that's totally fine. That's totally okay. But know that on the other side of that, I'm going to restore my energy levels back to their baseline. I'm not demonizing caffeine. I'm not demonizing coffee. I love a good matcha. I'm definitely a matcha girly. But whenever you are constantly relying on a energy drink or a some sort of coffee, something to get you through, you are not utilizing your body's natural energy resources. And then when you are tired, you're grabbing for that energy drink, and then that's affecting your sleep. Whether you feel it or not, that you're not waking up in the middle of the night or that you feel okay and rested, it is still affecting your sleep, especially if you do have the drink later on in the day. And so that's one of the things that I would do, at least do kind of like a hard cut, and then have it occasionally. Like for me, I would probably have a matcha or 2 a week, and matcha is like 30, 40 milligrams of caffeine, and it's more like a natural focus type of thing. Whereas, like I said, if you're doing more a lot of coffee and those energy drinks, it's going to be like, ooh, this is a lot. This is a lot. So sticking to like just frequently and not an everyday thing. Because I remember back whenever I was, bodybuilding, I first started being a coach. And anytime I'd go through a fat loss phase, I'd rely on caffeine a lot, which is fine. And also, it just wrecks your freaking adrenals and your cortisol levels. So that's why I recommend not overdoing the caffeine. Plus, once you start utilizing caffeine for so long, then your body becomes dependent on that. And then it's like, okay, what's going on here? What's going on? And you're not thriving. So, that's how we're going to take care of energy levels. We're also going to make sure that we're sleeping, going to bed and waking up at the same time. I think this is really, really overlooked. And it's like, oh, that doesn't really matter too much, but it actually does. When you wake up and you go to bed consistently within 30 minutes of each other. So, for example, 6 a.m., 10 p.m., or 6:30, 10, 10:30 p.m. Same, right? So, when you're doing that consistently, you're teaching your body, like, okay, we're safe. This is our routine. But whenever you're having highs and lows where on the weekends you're staying up till 2 a.m. and then, that next Monday morning you're waking up at 5 a.m. to go to the gym, you're in so much sleep debt. So really staying consistent with that schedule. Now, yes, if there's going to be a one-off time where you're staying out late, cool, love that. Like for last weekend was my birthday and we went out and I had not stayed up till 2 a.m. and I don't know, over a year maybe. And it literally sucked the life out of me. I was like, I don't know how people do this on the daily and or on like the regularly like weekend. It was definitely a no for me. And then with that also, I always say this, but natural sunlight inside of your eyeballs. Just go get some sun in your eyes. That's going to help with your natural circadian rhythm and so that you can actually sleep better and you're producing more melatonin when you get that early morning sunlight. So, we want more melatonin because it helps us sleep better. Slay on the energy levels. Another thing to add to the energy levels, which can also add to the meal timing, not meal timing, nutrition is meal timing. And so with meal timing, this is going to help a lot with energy because we're not, fasting and then eating everything at night and having wondering why we're having low energy throughout the middle of the day. And so morning meal, this is why I always say to have meals spaced out every 3-ish to 4-ish hours. And so if you're like, oh, I get that afternoon slump at 2, okay, cool. That's when I have my afternoon snack pick me up instead of my energy drink that's going to help get me through the rest of my day until my dinner time. Another thing that helps with energy is not sitting all day. An object in motion stays in motion, and an object at rest stays at rest. So when you're sitting and you're at rest, you're going to feel tired, sleepy, like you just want to rest more. But when you're up and you're moving, motion, you have more energy. And so that's where moving and the steps come into play. And after meals, which I'm tired right now, I just ate a snack and I'm like, oof, I shouldn't have just came in here and sat down. I should have went outside and got on my walk first. And so that's another thing that you can start to incorporate too, but that's beyond the point. These are all the basics. Everything I'm telling you is like basic level stuff that I wish I knew when I first started. And so maybe we can make this things I wish I knew when first starting my health and fitness journey or how to make 2026 the year. I think I like things I wish I knew because I'm literally teaching you from the ground up things I wish I knew at the very beginning and I didn't have to learn along the way. So it's a lot of information overload coming at you. So hopefully you can stick with me on that. Now, energy levels come sleep. To get the best amount of sleep, like I said, the morning sunlight and reducing your artificial light exposure. And I recently got a Kindle, but I still make sure I have my blue light blockers on because there is still a screen effect to the Kindle Paperwhite. And so I make sure that I still have those on. But TV in the bedroom, all that shit drives me nuts. And Barack always loves to watch TV. So I just put my sleeping mask on and he puts his headphones on so I don't have to hear it and I go to bed. So come up with some sort of compromise with you and your partner person so that it's not like them us but also he needs to follow what I'm doing because he obviously is not trying to optimize his sleep the best that he can and I am because I want to sleep really good so that I can wake up feeling rested and be productive for the rest of the day. That being said, to get quality sleep, try not to eat too close to bed. For me, I don't like to eat even past. I usually go to bed around 10, but like 6 p.m. I find is the sweet spot. So a 4 hour kind of time frame from when I eat to when I go to bed. I feel like I sleep best when I do that. When I eat later, I feel like it's just hard. My body's still trying to kind of digest that food, but also what you can do is kind of pace around, clean up your house a little bit after you eat your meal so that you're helping not only stabilize your blood sugar, but your digestion is going to be a lot better because you're getting it moving and it's not just stuck. that's why another thing too, and this goes into the digestion and gut health thing, is whenever you do eat a meal and then you just sit down, which what I just did, and you're not going to be perfect. That's the thing, is you're not going to be perfect all the time, but it's just about being mindful. I know that once I finish my podcast, I am going to get up and go on a walk because it's still sunny outside, and I want to get in a walk while the weather is still semi nice. And when you get up, you move around, your digestion's great. When you're sitting down, when you lie down after you eat, that's when you get the acid reflux, the heartburn, the just bloated feeling. And so, moving, even if it's just 5 to 10 minutes, doing a couple air squats, walking, pacing around, that's what I used to do. Well, I still do it sometimes, but I have my walking pad now. But at my old corporate job, I would pace the halls, or I'd go outside and walk around the block after 8, and it helped me so much. It'll help you not feel so bogged down and have more energy throughout the day. So those two kind of go hand in hand. Now, like I mentioned, the sleep wake cycle, but getting enough sleep, 8 hours of sleep, sometimes even 9 hours of sleep is so much better. And just really listening to your body, like, okay, do I need to take a nap today? If your body's feeling tired, take that nap. Listen to her. Don't feel like you're lazy for doing that. That's something that I had struggled with a lot, is feeling like, okay, if I take a nap, I'm unproductive, I'm lazy. And that's not the truth at all. Like, I feel so much better when I take the nap and I get up and I'm back to myself. I'm like, okay, cool. And you don't have to take any longer than a 30-minute nap. 30, 45 minutes. What becomes a problem when you feel worse is when you kind of go past that and you get into like the 2, 3 hours, and that's just way too long. So, sleep, energy. Now, getting into, we're still in the kind of like the internal things, digestion, right? So, there's a lot of different things that are going to support digestion. For one, eating whole, unprocessed, nutrient dense food. These are foods found in their most purest earth form. So, when you think about fruits and vegetables and meat and protein sources like chicken and beef and eggs, those types of things. And then potatoes. I'm a big potato fan. Actually, one of my clients was like, I'm so surprised. She's like, I'm so glad that you're not like anti potatoes, anti carbs. I'm like, I could never be anti potatoes, anti carbs, because let me tell you, your girl likes her bread. She likes her carbs. Why do you think my ass is so fat? For one, it's genetics. For two, it's because I eat a hell of a lot of carbs. I eat 300 grams of carbs a day. And a lot of y'all are like barely eating 50, 75, 100. This ass ain't built on low carb tortillas. I can tell you that much. Okay. Anyways, getting back into digestion. Fiber is such a big one. If you don't have enough fiber, what do you think you're going to be able to bulk up the stool with? So sometimes lack of fiber can give you two different types of symptoms. For one, it can give you constipation, and then on the other hand, it can give you diarrhea if there's not enough bulk to the stool. So it's kind of just like finding that happy medium. And before you're like, oh my gosh, this is so hard, everything's so hard, it has to be so perfect, it doesn't. If you get 25 grams of fiber a day and you have insoluble plus soluble fiber sources, so fruits and veggies, oats, nuts, seeds, those kind of things, avocado, a mix of all of those, just variety in your diet and not eating the same thing for lunch and dinner, like kind of keeping some variety in it, you're going to feel great. Switching up your fruits every week and switching up your vegetables, this helps a lot. Your gut loves the diversity inside of your gut because it helps feed the good gut bugs inside of your gut. Now, another thing that comes with digestion is there are a lot of things that can impact your digestion. Stress, your hormones. So when you're in your luteal phase, about to start your period, a lot of people get constipated or they get diarrhea. It just depends on you and the person. Or when you're actually on your period, maybe you have a lot of diarrhea or constipation. For me, I'm the like loose stool kind of person because I can like feel my uterus contracting. And so I feel like that makes me have to go to the bathroom more, but other people are opposite. So it's just very different, but you want to be able to go to the bathroom regularly. A regular digestion is 1+ bowel movements a day. I would say 1 to 2. If you're getting in that 4, 5, 6, that's too much. We want it to be soft form stool. So if you look up Bristol stool chart, it goes 1 through 6. You want it to be the type 4. Uh, type 3, type 4 is the best 4 is the best. When you get into those loose stools, that's when we got a problem. So, and then when we're in those other stool, in the like 1, 2, 3, we also got a problem. It's usually lack of water, lack of fiber. Those other one, the diarrhea ones, also, like I said, can be too much fiber, but they can also mean you maybe have a gut infection kind of going on. Same with the constipation ones. And if you've actually switched your diet, taken out the artificial foods, the processed foods, the gums, you don't realize like gum can really fuck up your gut. And then a lot of artificial sweeteners like sucralose and things like that. If you're consuming a lot of that and a lot of processed like protein bars and snacks and all these little things, that can definitely mess with your digestion and your gut, which can cause you to have those gut infections. And I don't want to get into all the gut stuff because that could be a whole nother topic of what certain things are, how they are uh, contracted, I guess, and things that you can do to help with that. But for now, we're just going to keep it simplified, and fiber is king, right? And then another thing, too, is if you're not drinking enough water, there's not enough to push the bowels out. So we need to have, I like to say, anywhere from 80 to 120 ounces. 120 ounces would be considered a gallon of water a day. If you're going over that, that's a little bit too much. And honestly, if you drink too much water, that can dilute or decrease your stomach acid. Without sufficient stomach acid, our body does not break down food well. We don't break down food well. That's when we can have some undigested food in stool. We could have not being able to absorb foods, nutrients properly. And then when we have low stomach acid, we're more susceptible to get these gut infections like SIBO and, H. pylori, all these other little things that we don't want to have because then they cause way worse gut issues. Like I had H. pylori and that literally sucked. I'm still in my protocol. I'm finishing it up now. But like I said, we won't get into all of that. So, water and movement and fiber definitely play a role in digestion. So, keeping that in mind. And you're like, okay, what about probiotics? What supplements do I need to take? Do not take a probiotic blindly. In fact, do not take a probiotic at all. Do not take a probiotic because that can often feed into the bacteria in your stomach and cause even more overgrowth and cause more symptoms like I'd mentioned, the bloating, diarrhea, gas, etc., etc. So that's that on digestion. So I think we've covered a lot of the internal, so energy, sleep, digestion. And when we get into hormones, digestion actually feeds into hormones, but hormones are determined by the habits that you have in place. So this is determined by the quality of the food you're putting in your body, the sleep or lack of sleep that you're getting, those digestion signals that you're getting, right? How you're moving your body, you're getting the sunlight, you're getting enough sufficient vitamins and minerals. Those are all going to impact your hormones, health, cortisol, um, and also your, what was I thinking of? Cortisol and stress hormones. So estrogen, testosterone, progesterone, all those things are going to be affected by those habits if those energy, sleep, digestion things aren't in play. Another really big one is stress management, nervous system regulation. And I think a lot of nervous system regulation comes down to is just setting boundaries. If you have too much on your plate, if you're overstimulated by your social media, actually, I'll mention a little story. On my birthday, which was Sunday, today's Wednesday, I committed to doing 3 days of no social media. I only got on my laptop to post and ghost and then check my DMs. I didn't scroll, I didn't do any of that. Today was the first day that I did that, and I felt so icky after it. I was like, oh, I do not want to do this anymore. Here or there, what I noticed is like I was having really bad anxiety, and I was like, I cannot pinpoint out what this is. Like, I eat well, I go outside, I get my walks, like I do all of these things, but what I realized is I get a lot of screen time. And so, especially because I work a lot from my computer, and so when I grab my phone or start scrolling on social media, I think I get very overstimulated, and that causes me to get into this heightened state. And so I've had to really, really work hard on removing myself from social media, from being on a screen so much, and really like get back into my own body and learn how to self-regulate. And I think that's one of the biggest things that a lot of people do not know how to do. And it takes time and it takes patience and it takes so much more discipline. I think it takes so much more discipline to do that than be disciplined with a diet any day, especially since I am in the scene of, okay, I'm online coaching, I get clients through my DMs, I respond to people through my DMs. It's just a lot. And so I have to really, really create those boundaries with myself and replace those habits with something that's more fulfilling. So I've been doing like Sudoku, I've been doing reading more of my book, my Kindle, just like journaling things that I know I needed to get back to. And so I'm going to continue to do that. It takes discipline, it takes time. And I know I go through ebbs and flows. Everybody goes through seasons of where they're really good at this thing and then this thing takes a back burner. And it's just like finding what's going to work best for you and knowing that in each season things are going to look different, and that's okay. That's okay. You have to build your life around the seasons. Doesn't mean you give up something completely, it just means you maybe pull back a little bit. And so I think too that's a lot of things that's a lot of the problem is what keeps people stuck and not actually continuing to get better within their fitness and their health journey, is that they are one season things are great and so they're all in, and the next season things are not and so they're all out, instead of just figuring out what's going to work best for them in that season. They just completely go all out, and then they wonder why it's so hard for them to get back on because they pulled so far out. And I was like, no, let's just adjust for the life circumstances so you can still, get these things in, but maybe it's not as often. Maybe it's, you're having to eat out more, but we're still making different choices, healthy choices when we are eating out. You can't have as much home cooked meals because you're traveling as much. You have to adjust for the seasons and be okay with the progress and results that you're going to see during that time. And that's a whole nother topic. But that's kind of nervous system regulation. And I always just have a 20 minutes of stillness every morning. So I do a meditation and I'll just set the timer. Usually just have like sounds going. Another thing too is slowing down, like not rushing through every little thing. I started playing spa music actually on my Alexa, so every morning for my morning routine and night routine, and they're not complex things, but I like to, wash my face well, do my skincare routine. I recently started hair care routine. You probably can't tell because I literally just started, but trying to get my hair healthier, more vibrant, and just making sure that I feel better in myself. And I think it's helping me a lot. So, all that being said, decluttering, unfollowing people, removing yourself from certain environments, all of these things are going to help you regulate, and cutting back on the caffeine. This is a really, really big one too, because this is a stimulant. So, when you're getting that stimulant, that's going to run havoc on your nervous system. And you're probably not going to hear this one, but alcohol too. Alcohol is definitely something that's going to, what's the word I'm looking for, to disrupt your balance of your nervous system. So those, and just the processed foods in general, when you're getting processed foods versus natural whole foods, whenever you're getting in toxins, chemicals from candles and hair products, like we already have a lot of environmental toxins, and so decreasing those as much as you can. Cooking in glass Tupperware, or putting your meals in glass Tupperware, cooking with certain cooking products, and just making sure your air is more clean water. All of these things can either hurt or help your nervous system in a way. So, just doing all the things that you can, and you don't have to swap all your products at once, but even makeup, clean skin, clean hair. I'm very much advocate for all of these. And so, just doing your research and figuring out what works best for you, but sticking to the basics. Food and nutrition come first, and then or food and movement come first, and then you can work on all these other little things to help reduce that load and regulate your nervous system even more. So that's kind of like internal. Now we're talking about external, right? We're talking about physique. And if you're wanting to lose fat, build muscle, lose fat, tone, whatever it is, you're going to have to go to the gym. You're going to have to lift weights. And I'm not talking about getting on the cardio machines. Yes, cardio is so wildly, incredibly important. We should be doing cardio because we should be wanting our heart to be healthy, but this is not our sole exercise modality. We should be strength training. When we strength train, we build muscle. And when we build muscle, we have faster metabolism. And we can also lose fat. We can change our outward appearance, and we can lose that visceral fat, so fat that surrounds our organs. We can lose that to become healthier. right? When we tone, we have to build up the muscle first. And so what that looks like is you have to be willing to eat more food for a time being and start to lift weights, because whenever you have enough food, you're able to put on muscle faster, quicker, and easier. So when you give yourself time to go through phases, and usually what I like to do is, okay, we can do an initial fat loss phase depending on the person and how much they're eating. If they're already in a really strong calorie deficit, I'm not going to have them cut calories even more. So, first thing we have them do, okay, get them to a maintainable spot of calories. Now, I want to be here. We want to start building muscle. We want to be very consistent in the gym, sticking to the same exercises week over week for at least a 12 to 16 week time frame. And then we can go into a slight calorie deficit or cut. And so you get the toned look from building the muscle and then shedding the fat to be able, excuse me, to see that muscle. So right now I'm kind of in like a building like maintenance phase, and my calories are pretty high and my body is definitely not as lean as it has been. It's actually on the like teetering point of being like one of the higher weights that I've been at, which is fine. I have more body fat, but I feel like leaner in my midsection than I have when I did previous bulking building phases, and that's because my digestion is a lot better. And also, like, I know soon I'll want to go into a slight cut so that I can get back into more of like that tone look and then maintain that. I hate going through these phases like gaining and losing, but the reality is like if you want to build muscle and go through phases where you want to look better and lean, you're gonna have to do that. Now, could you build for a really long time and be okay with being on that fluffier side? Yes, cool. You could do that, but for me personally, like when different seasons come around, I want to be leaner. I want to look leaner in my swimsuit. And so that's what I have to think about. So, probably here, like March or April, I'm assuming I'll start doing a little bit of a fat loss phase so that I can get leaner. My abs can be a little bit more etched. My legs can be a little bit leaner. Back can be leaner. So, that's kind of like the goal for myself. But like all that's to say, like getting toned, losing fat, the building muscle, they all have the same principles. One is just eating more, and the other one is just eating less than you consume or less than you burn. Um, and so, other things that you can do to help increase, you should, let me rephrase that. You should always be doing cardio no matter what, no matter if you're in a build muscle season or lose fat, because what happens whenever you start eating more, your cardiovascular kind of slows down if you're not doing the extra cardio, because right, you're carrying around more tissue, more body fat, and so your body is gonna, cardiovascular health is going to go down unless you do cardio. So cardio should always be a non-negotiable. When you're losing fat, you can use cardio as a tool to help increase how many calories you're burning. Now, if you were to pull that out, right, maybe you'll not continue to lose the fat because you're relying on cardio to get you that. All of these still have strength training. Every single thing. The lose fat, build muscle, and tone, you will all have strength training to do for that. You're not ever out of that. And so I'll get a lot of people come to me and they'll be like, hi, I just want to tone, but I don't even know what to do in the gym. I'm very inconsistent. I'm eating 1,200 calories. And then I have to talk them through this like, okay, you're eating too little. You need to eat a little bit more carbs for one. And for two, you've got to get in the gym and you've got to have a legit strength training program. If you don't have one, you will not see the results that you want to see. And that's just the blunt truth. And if you don't know how to train, which this is exactly why I prioritize training videos with my clients so that I can see exactly what their training intensity looks like, their form, making sure the exercises, they're taking it to failure how they should be. And the ones that send those and they send them regularly, they're the ones that make progress. They're the ones that their physique is continuously changing and evolving. And like there's nothing better than somebody telling you, hey, this is how you need to do the exercise, this is, you need to increase the weight, you need to do this. That's what's going to help you build and grow the physique, plus sticking to a plan longer than 4 weeks at a time or 1 week at a time because you get sore and then you don't want to go back the next week. That's part of it. Get used to that. So I think that's on the external thing, all I had to cover on that. I think I covered everything. So we covered, energy, sleep, digestion, hormone health, all of the things. So things that I kind of wish I knew, plus the year, how to make healthy body mind. Oh, going into the mind aspect of that. I think one of the big things is realizing that discipline is not punishment. Discipline is the pathway to freedom. Whenever you are disciplined in these things, your life becomes so much easier. You start showing up in other facets of your life, your work, your relationships, your friendships better because you are disciplined in this aspect of your life. And I've heard it time and time again from many of my clients that this is what's happened. So do that. Also, beyond discipline, mind building your identity around the person that you want to become. Say you already have the body. What kind of character traits do you need to have now? Oh, I'm somebody that goes to the gym regularly. I'm somebody that eats this way. I'm somebody that doesn't make excuses. I'm somebody that gets my steps in. I'm somebody that does these things even when life is shitting on my head. Even when there's a bird called life shitting on my head. I still do the things anyways because I know that this is who I am. It's not just some phase. It's not just another, oh, like I'm on this new diet. No, like this is just who I am and you can either love it or leave me. Like that's really what it has to come down to. And I know too, I've lost a lot of friends and people that I used to be friends with, more close with, because this is my new lifestyle. Because I don't drink the alcohol and stay out late and do these things because I stick to my values and what I know. I think a lot of that comes down to is like, what are the values that you have set for yourself? Write them down. Maybe if you have those values set, you can start to align your decisions and your habits with those values. Then you will become the more disciplined person, the one whose identity is to do the hard things no matter what. So, the mind part, I could really go on and on and on and make a whole freaking podcast about that, but like how fitness can change your mind, how you stop pleasing other people. That's something I've worked a lot with my clients on, or stop giving in to the impulses. And that can be, if you're building discipline here, you're going to build discipline to not shop at impulse or get the Starbucks at impulse, because you have that discipline built within yourself in one area. It's going to carry over into so many other aspects of your life. So I'll end that there, but I hope you guys enjoyed this episode and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.